I think he's one of those guys that's just universally becomes a football person. Like, he's not almost owned by a club. I mean, obviously he was Richmond, Sydney, Collingwood. But, there's some people that pass through football that become universally admired by every fan and every club. And, I think that's the thing that hits me when someone like that, when you get sick, you feel for him, and because everyone sort of knows him, you've run across him. So, when someone like Tommy passes, I don't think it just hits one footy club or three that he was involved in. I think it hits everyone because he's obviously just such a universally loved character throughout football. I didn't have a lot to do with him when I met him. He's just one of those really charismatic guys and interesting guys, and just a great person.
How important was he to the Swans? I mean, he got them up and going, obviously with a flag, but at a time when it was important for the game to develop in Sydney.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I remember just even when I was playing with Fitzroy, watching them on Sunday. I think there's 3 weeks in a row where they kicked something like 30 goals or whatever, and I mean, they had some enormous talent. And when I was up there as a player and coach, they'd still talk about Tommy and what he did for the club and all those guys in that era. So, I mean, he had a massive bearing on football in Sydney. He was sort of that pre-plugger time, I guess. I mean, Tony came up there and really lifted the brand, but I think people had forgotten prior to that. It was Healy and Williams and Tommy Hafey, and it was a big time in footy. I mean, we all remember watching those Sunday games when it was packed, and they were absolutely flying. So certainly as a Swans person, he was very significant in their history, no question.
What do you think he had as a coach? What's your sort of take on Tommy Hafey as a coach?
Sorry?
What's your take on Tommy Hafey as a coach in terms of just what he added to it?
Well, I mean, the longevity is what hits you when you think about guys like that. I mean, to coach for so many years and 3 different teams and have so much success at all different clubs, that's the thing. When you actually coach, you realise how demanding it is and how difficult. And back then, I mean, we're fortunate now. You turn up to work at sort of 7:30, 8 o'clock, and you get home at a reasonable hour. It's just like for those guys, they were working as well. So, for them to commit to football in that era, and he spanned a number of eras. Those guys were getting home at 9:30 at night, and I remember doing match committee with Parker, and we get the fish and chips on a Tuesday night. I'd be looking at my watch going, geez, boys, what's going on? It's bloody 11 o'clock, It's just, so their commitment to football is far greater to ours, and when I say ours, is the coaches now from a time point of view. They just put an enormous amount of time in around their family and work and things like that. And I think that's the thing that hits me when you read someone like Hafey's record, that he was involved in football for so many years. I mean, it's an enormous commitment, enormous, I don't want to say strain, because I'm sure Tommy would have loved every minute of it, but it is a big commitment. That's the thing when I look at his record, and I think, gee, that's incredible commitment to those clubs and to football in general.
What sort of impact do you think it'll have on the game this weekend in terms of the emotion that Richmond people might feel?
Well, I think it's the emotion of everyone, really. As I said, I don't think it's unique to Richmond. I think Richmond would concede that Tommy's a massive figure in the Richmond Footy Club, but we want to put on a good show for Tommy as well. I think he's a football person. So out of respect for Tom and what he's done for football, I'll mention it to the Melbourne players also, because it's a significant passing and it's a significant loss, obviously, to Tommy's family, and our thoughts and prayers are with them all. But football in general, it's a big loss. So we need to put on a good show as a football, and hopefully a lot of fans come and watch. If you weren't going to come and watch Melbourne Richmond, maybe just out of respect to Tom, come along and hopefully watch a good footy team. But we'll certainly be honouring him in our own way as well.
What can moments of reflection like this do to a team, do you think? Or can it change the mindset going into a match?
I don't think necessarily, I think with Tom, as I said, he's universally respected. So you hope it lifts the standard of the game in a general sense, and it lifts the crowd and the number of people that come and watch it. Because you do have a chance to reflect on a great person. For our players, as I said, we'll mention it, and I'm sure Damien will mention it for Richmond because he's such a. But I mean, players should be motivated to play anyway. I think this is just a little bit extra where you talk about it before the game, and more just out of respect for Tom and just mention, this is a great man that's just passed, and it should have no direct bearing on the game. But I think the week and the actual day itself, yeah, it does, but not the actual, probably the game, rather the build-up and, you know, and the reflection we all have at this time and a quick moment before the game just to sort of say, guys, we need to put on a good show today, you know. But, you know, if you're not motivated an AFL player, you're probably doing the wrong job.
What do you need to do to turn competitive performances into a win?
Yeah, look, it's just the bits and pieces that win games of footy, you know, 120 minutes. I think Bulldogs deserve their win, you know, because in the key moments, you know, they kicked the key goals. You know, I think we kicked 2 goals, 5 in the last quarter, you know, a couple of free kicks, turned a few over. You know, they're the things we talked about. You know, I thought we did a really good job competing with the Bulldogs, but, you know, we probably beat ourselves. Having said that, I think the Bulldogs thoroughly deserve to win, because part of winning is kicking the goals and not giving away free kicks. And so I think their game was more complete than our game. You know, in 120 odd minutes, you know, they were 120 minutes and we were 115, and that's probably the difference at the moment between where the two clubs are at. We need to bridge that gap, and Brendan's been working with his group for a fair bit longer, and you know, I think they're at a good level of consistency where we're still trying to reach that level, and we took another step forward on the weekend, but just in those key moments they were better than what we were.
Speaking of free kicks, Hayden Kennedy said the decision against Lyndon Dunn yesterday was correct. What do you make of that?
Oh, look, I think there's a very difficult job. I mean, you know, one of the things I've learnt, I suppose, in 8 years, and, you know, you can pick up the phone, you can talk to the umpires, but I mean, there's so many different interpretations now. The rules have changed so dramatically over a course of time. It's an enormously difficult job, and you know, and I think Ross Lyon mentioned the other week. I mean, I think he said he didn't know the rules, and I'm not sure I don't know the rules, but to be perfectly frank, some of the decisions I have no idea why they get paid, but when the rules change so often, so much. And over the break, and you know, I didn't speak to Wayne, but I texted Wayne about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and yeah, it's been a dramatic shift in the rules this year. You know, I just wish they had come to us and told us, you know, pre-season. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I wish that we had been told going into the season that the interpretations were going to change so significantly. So from that point of view, you know, look, the umpire's umpire, we coach, and that's the way it should be.
That's a problem though, that's a problem though, two experienced coaches like you and Ross are saying at times you don't know what's a free kick and what's not. I mean, how...
Well, I think the fans are saying that as well, and it's not a criticism of the umpires. I think what's happened is the confusion is as a result of so many rule changes and interpretation changes that people are now going to the football and I'm not. I think if Hayden says that's a free kick, it's a free kick. But how many people in the stand would have said that was a free kick? So therein lies the problem. I mean, who in the room thought it was a free kick? So how many we got in the room?
Do you feel for the players who that says?
So if we finish that conversation, there's 10 people in the room. Put your hand up if you thought it was a free kick. So everyone that saw it, so none of us thought it was a free kick. So I guess that's what I'm saying. But that's not let's not confuse that with a criticism of the umpires. What I'm saying is the rules have changed so significantly, and the interpretations have been changed dramatically from last season to this season, that not only the coaches, it's the fans that still really don't know. And Hayden's probably right. I don't know what the free kick was for, but if Hayden's saying it's a free kick, well, it's a free kick.
So does something have to be done, Paul, like to clarify the situation, or is it just it is what it is?
Well, it seems that it is what it is. I mean, I guess one thing that there's always been a debate between coaches and umpires, you know, and this is the wrong term. Well, I never thought there was a rule of the week, but I've always felt that if you're coaching the umpires and you feel like something's been missed, as I'm coaching the players and I feel like we're not doing well at stoppages, then I must tell the players we've got to do well at stoppages. One thing I feel where perhaps the fans get a bit cheated is if the umpires generally feel, look, we've been lenient on the push in the back, then send an email to all the coaches and say, look, this is a real focus area for this week. But what the umpires will always say is everything's a focus area, you know. So that's probably, I suppose, the biggest debate that coaches have with Jeff and now Wayne. And, I don't mind. I think Hayden's there to coach if he feels like there's something, and I think that would help the public as well. If there's a weekly memo from the umpires saying, look, we feel the umpires are umpiring really well at this and this, but we feel like the 50-metre penalty or the hands in the back rule, so at least fans go to the weekend knowing, okay, let's not call it the rule of the week, but let's say the umpires are refocusing on something that it's a very, very difficult job. Let's be really clear on that. And I guess that's my thing with all the rule changes and interpretations. It's they've made it so hard for the game to umpire.
Do you feel sorry for the players in that regard, that if the coaches are not aware, players are out there in a split second, got to make a decision? Do you feel sorry for guys in that situation?
Well, I think I've always said if the whistle blows, you've got to stop. The only problem with that is when you stop now, there's the advantage rule that's created by the whistle. So, that's even compounds even more when, I think Tommy McDonald pushes, might have been Liam Jones in the back. 5 people stop. Gia comes in because he's smart, picks up the ball, runs fast, 5 people, kicks a goal, and we say that's an advantage rule. The advantage is only created by the whistle. That's the only reason Gia can come and pick it up. And I suppose that adds to the frustration there because you tell players to stop. When the whistle, play to the whistle. Now if you stop and one smart player goes and picks up the ball, then he just runs off, kicks a goal. So, look, again, it's just very difficult. My message to players is just when the whistle goes, just respond to the whistle. If it's a free kick, it's a free kick. That's the reality of the situation.
Haven't average decisions always been part of the game, mate?
What's that?
Haven't average decisions that you may not agree with always been part of the game? Do you think it's changed?
Oh, well, I suppose that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, but I guess what I'm saying is when you start to get comfortable with them as a fraternity, it then changes again. So I think, that's probably part of that adds to the indecision. You're right. There's always going to be and the umpires could rightly say, well, you guys miss goals from 10 metres out. Absolutely. And I don't think any of us are saying the umpires aren't going to make mistakes. Clearly, I don't have a problem, that if I ever rang Jeff and he said, look, Paul, that should have been a free kick. I concede that because we're not perfect. I make mistakes, players make mistakes. But I think the problem arises when the interpretations change. So fans and players and coaches get used to a certain way of umpiring and then it changes. And that's where the problem lies for the football public because, as we said before, I mean, if Hayden's saying that's a free kick on Lyndon Dunn, it's a free kick, but how many of us at the game thought it wasn't a free kick? There's the problem.
How are Frawley and Turley looking for this week?
Look, Turl's had the day off yesterday, so I haven't really seen him, and obviously we'll monitor him during the week. Actually, Chip's toe is okay. He's probably like a few other players, and I think I mentioned after the game, most players, we've got a lot of teams a bit banged up and wounded and looking forward to, obviously the bye's over 3 weeks and, everyone's looking forward to it, but we've got to get through this game this week and really, hopefully, play really, really well. So I'd expect, Chip to play and then obviously have next weekend off.
What have you made of Richmond so far? Been a lot better last match, but they've been a little bit up and down.
I guess it's indicative of everyone this year, apart from a couple of teams right at the top. But we were only talking about Hawthorn yesterday. Things can change so dramatically. You lose Hodge and Mitchell and Rioli midway through the second quarter. Obviously Ruffy now's out. So you got 4 high quality players. That can change. So football at the moment is, most clubs are, really striving for that consistency. Richmond got it last year and played some really good football. I went to the Geelong game and their second half was super. So that was probably their best footy they'd played all year against a high quality side. So, we know their best is very, very good.
Who surprised you most so far as an individual?
Sorry?
Who surprised you most so far as an individual in your team?
I suppose as a coach, you don't really sort of think too much about individuals. We obviously talk more about the team. Trying to get everyone to play their role and understand their role and Look, I mean, not surprising him. I think Dom Tyson's last couple of weeks have been, as a young player coming in and under, I didn't think it was controversial, but a lot of people did. I think, he's shown, why we were prepared to give up that pick and get Christian. So to have Christian and Dom, if you look from a strategic point of view more than anything else, I think that's been a good result for us, and they're both going to be really, really good players. And when you make those decisions, obviously they're big decisions to make for footy clubs. But I think we've seen certainly over the course of the year that the consistency with Dom, Jay Kennedy Harris, and obviously Christian coming in. So you've got 3 new young players at a club. That's pretty important for us.